Hello, everybody. My name is Kenneth. Sorry. It's a great day to have reading a book with you. So, who likes reading books? Everyone. I mean, some people. I don't. Some people like reading books. Okay, let's start. My book is very fun, but it's a little bit crazy, and it's called Magic Treehouse Volcano Vacation Under the Volcano. Book 11 by Mary Pope Osborne. So, let's start. Chapter 1 A Secret Code. Jack reached into a straw and took out his secret library card. He held the thin piece of wood and ran his finger over its shimmering letters. Master Librarians. Master Librarians, he whispered. Jack couldn't believe he and his sister, Annie, were finally Master Librarians. He wondered he should pack the secret card to take on vacation. His family was about to leave for a week to the mountains. Just then, Annie stuck her head into Jack's room. Want to check the woods? She asked. Every morning they look in Frog Creek Woods to see if Morgan Le Fay and her treehouse has returned. We cannot, said Jack. We're leaving soon. But what if Morgan's there? Said Annie. What if she's waiting for us? Oh, okay, said Jack. Let's look fast. He grabbed his backpack. He threw it in his notebook and pencil, and his secret library card. Then he followed Annie downstairs. We'll be back soon, Annie said. Don't go far, the dad called. We're leaving in 20 minutes. Don't worry, we'll be back in 10, said Annie. Right, thought Jack. 5 minutes in the woods and 5 minutes back. Even if Morgan sent them on an adventure, they would return at exact the same time as they left. Jack and Annie ran out the front door. In the bright morning sunshine, they hurried across their lawn and down the street. I had a nightmare last night, said Annie. What is it? Said Jack. I dreamed fires were burning, said Annie. Everything was smoky and dark, and the ground was shaking. Do you think it's a warning? Nah, said Jack. Nightmares never come true. They left the sidewalk and headed into Frog Creek Woods. The woods were quiet and peaceful. They walked between sunlit trees until they came to the tallest oak in the woods. Yay! Said Annie. Jack, how, Master Librarians, she said. Morgan Le Fay was waving from the window. Jack and Annie bowed playfully. At your service, said Annie. Then come up, said Annie. They grabbed the rope ladder and started up. When they climbed inside the treehouse, they found Morgan holding a book and a piece of paper. Are you ready? I have an important. Are you ready? I have an important mission for you. Yes, yes, they both answered. Jack's heart pounded. Ever since Morgan had made them master librarians, he had been lying on their first mission. You know I collect books for Camelot's library, she said. Jack and Annie nodded. Well, there's been many great libraries lost in histories. And Morgan, said Morgan, with them we have lost many wonderful stories. That's sad, said Annie. It is, said Morgan. But luckily, with help of the treehouse and you two master librarians, those such as these, some stories can be saved, such as this one. Morgan showed them a piece of paper. There was a strange writing on it. Fortimus in Mundo. Is that a secret code? Said Jack. Morgan smiled. No way, she said. Actually, it's the title of the lost story. It's written in Latin, a language of ancient Roman and Italy. Ancient Romans, said Jack. He loved anything to do with ancient Roman. Yes, said Morgan. This story was in the library in Roman town. I need you to get it before the libraries become lost forever. No problem, said Annie. Do you have your secret library cards? He asked. Yes, said Jack. Good. Do not lose them. The right people will know what they mean, said Morgan. At last, here is the book to help you. Morgan handed Jack a book called Life in Roman Towns. The cover showed a Roman town with people wearing tunics and sandals. That looks great, said Jack. And this the name of story I need, said Morgan. She handed the piece of paper to Jack and put it in his pack. Remember, said Morgan, your research book will guide you. But remember, in your darkest hour, only the ancient story will help you. Jack and Annie nodded. Go now, Morgan said softly. And don't forget what I just told you. Thanks, said Jack. He pointed the cover of the Book of Roman Towns. I wish we could go there, he said. The wind started to blow. I almost forgot! I'm going to help you blend in! Morgan shouted above the wind. What did you mean? Shouted Jack. Before Morgan could answer, the tree started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Ah, cool! Whispered Annie. Look at us. Chapter 2. The end is near. Jack opened his eyes. He pushed his glasses into place. Morgan was gone, and so were Jack's jeans, t-shirts, sneakers, and backpack. Instead, he has a white tunic with a belt, sandals, and laced up, and a leather bag. He looked at Annie. She was dressed the same way. Morgan made them look like kids in an ancient Roman town. I guess this is what Morgan met," said Jack, when she said she'll help us bend in. "I feel like Cinderella," said Annie. "I like these clothes." "Yeah," said Jack, although he felt a little as he was wearing a dress. Annie looked out at the window. "It's pretty here," she said. Jack looked at her. They landed in a grove of trees. One side of the grove rose on a gentle-looking mountain. On another, a town sparkled in sunlight. "I wonder where we are," said Jack. He opened the book of Roman times, read aloud. "Almost 2,000,000 years ago, on August 24, A.D. 79, the seaside town of Pompeii was a typical Roman town. Many Romans went there on their vacation. They built large houses, called villas, and planted groves of olive trees along the slopes of mountain called Mount Vesuvius. 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 Annie kept looking out the window as Jack pulled out his notebook and pencil. He wrote, "Vacation on Pompeii, August 24, A.D. 79. Houses called villas." Jack looked out the window again. "It does look like some place to go on vacation," he said. "We must land it on some of the olive groves," said Annie. Yeah, and that town must be Pompeii," said Jack. He looked in the opposite direction, "and that mountain must be Mount Vesuvius." Annie shivered. "That name sounds scary," she said. "Really? Not to me," he said down. He looked down at his notes. "Hey, did you feel that?" said Annie. "What?" Jack looked up. "The ground shook. I heard it rumble too," said Annie. Jack frowned. "I think you were just dreaming again," she said. "No, I wasn't," said Annie. "Something feels wrong about this place. I really think we should go home now." "Are you nuts?" said Jack. "We have to find that lost story for Morgan. Besides, I've always wanted to see Roman town." He threw his notebook and Roman book into his leather bag. He went down the rope ladder. "Come on!" he called when he stepped onto the ground. Annie just stared at him. "Don't be chicken," he said. He pushed his glasses into place. "Come on, it'll be fun." Annie didn't move. "What's wrong with her?" Jack wondered. Usually, I'm the worried one. "Come on," he pleaded. "We can't let Morgan down." Annie let out a big sigh. "Okay, but we better find the story fast," she said. Finally, she climbed down the rope ladder. The sun was bright and hot as they took up between the olive trees. With Mount Vesuvius on their backs, they headed for the town of Pompeii. "That's weird," said Annie. "I don't hear any birds." She was right. The grove was strangely silent. "Don't worry about that," said Jack. "Maybe they're all at the beach. Come on, let's go over that bridge." They held their way to a small wooden bridge with crossed a narrow stream. When they got to the stream, they found they had dried up. That's really weird, said Annie. Don't worry. It means there hasn't been much rain. They crossed the bridge and stepped onto the busy street. It was paved with stone. People were buying things in open shops that lined the street. Some looked rushed and busy. Others moved slowly. Some looked rushed and coming. Kids walked through parents. Groups of teenagers talked and laughed. They don't seem very different from people shopping in Frog Creek, Jack thought, except for clothes, of course. How will we be able to find the ancient lost library? Said Annie, glancing around. I don't know, said Jack. Just be on the lookout. They walked past shops and huge jars in them. When Jack looked closely, he saw that they were filled with grain, dried fruit, and olives. Meat hung through the ceilings of some of the clothes. Then they passed a nosy tavern where people live. People were eating where people live and were eating and drinking. The young man played a string instrument. See, there's nothing to worry about, said Jack. This place isn't all that different from out town. It's not that, said Annie, with a worried look. See, the barber shop and the shoe store, said Jack, pointing. A boy was getting his hair cut by the barber. A girl was trying a new pair of sandals with her mother. It is kind of like home, said Annie. Green. They kept walking until they passed a bakery filled with freshly baked flatbreads. That bread is like pizza, said Annie, smiling. Yeah, said Annie. The good smells from the bakery made him feel even more like home. Jack looked at Annie. She was smiling as they walked on. They come in large squares, filled with carts and horses. More shopping stalls! Honey cakes, stuffed dates, peacock eggs! Sellers called. Farmers were selling grapes, garlic, and onions. Fishermen were selling all kinds of fish. A few people stood on boxes, giving speeches in small crowds. Hey, I bet this is the Forum, he said. He reached in his bag for his book. He flipped through it until he found a picture of a square. He read, the center of Roman town was called a forum. The forum was the main place where people met to sell goods and discuss politics. I was right, said Jack. He pulled out his notebook and wrote, Forum, center of town. Jack, whispered Annie. Jack! She touched on the tunic. Look! Jack glanced up. Annie nodded toward an old woman who was staring straight at them. She wore a black coat. Her gray hair was tan. glade, tangled and wild. She seemed to be missing her teeth. The woman pointed a bony finger at Jack and Annie. "The end is near," she said in a raspy voice. "Go home, strangers." "Yikes," said Annie. "We better get away from her before people wonder who we are." He put away his notebook. Then he and Jack hurried away. The old woman crackled behind them. Chapter 3. Gladiators! Jack and Annie hid behind a food stall. They waited for a moment. They peered around the corner. "I don't see her," said Jack. "Who is she?" "I don't know, but she looks nuts to me," said Jack. "What does the book say about her?" "She won't be in there," said Jack. "Just look," said Annie. Jack signed and pulled out the book again. To his surprise, he found a picture of the old woman. He read aloud. "In Roman times, there were people who can see into the future and warn others of what they saw. These people are called soothsayers.